Life with Twilight, Chapter 5, written by Lonart8100, also known as me. It's that time of the year again. Late August. Summer's almost over, and fall is almost here. That means it's time for the town carnival once again. My parents used to take me there all the time as a kid, and it still has a very special place in my heart. But since their passing, I haven't gone. After all, what's the fun in going alone? But this year, I thought I'd take Twilight with me. For once, it's my turn to plan a field trip, and once again, she's as excited as ever. The instant she enters the gate, she looks around in wonder.
What do we do first?
She asks. Why don't you pick? I say to her.
But I've never been to a carnival before.
And I haven't been since I was 12. What's your point? Twilight looks around with wide eyes. She twirls so fast that I keep thinking she might make herself dizzy.
How about those games over there?
She asks, pointing to the game section. I start walking over when she takes hold of my arm. I look at her, a bit confused.
There's a lot of people here. I'd rather not get separated.
She says. I simply smile and keep walking with her at my side. I would say this feels like another date, if I wasn't already used to this kind of thing. She always does this whenever we get into crowded areas. I just go along with it, since I do admit the downtown area can be kind of scary if you're alone. So we get to the game section, and Twilight instantly springs into action. Her first game is skee ball. She pays the man at the counter $1 and grabs 4 balls. She rolls the first one, and it lands right in the center hole. I'm quite impressed, given this is literally her first roll at the game. How'd you do that? I ask curiously.
It's all in the angle of the ball.
She answers.
I read a book a while ago on momentum. It said that...
Okay. You've made your point, I say with a small laugh. Twilight then rolls the next 2 balls. They both go into the center as well.
It's just too bad I wasn't able to read up on how to increase the power even more.
She says, slightly disappointed. Why don't I help you? I suggest, taking a gentle hold of her wrist. My dad taught me this trick when I was young. If you position yourself like so, then release at the right time, I then guide Twilight's hand and order her to release. She releases the ball, and it rolls all the way up to the 100-point cup. Twilight starts clapping as her ball rolls in. She then turns around and hugs me, thanking me for my help. I think she really just did it out of excitement. My heart starts beating fast again, and I blush a bit, as I'm not completely used to her hugs. Matter of fact, I think this is my second, the first being the day we met. But nonetheless, I feel real happy for her, and this time I do hug her back. The man running the stand gives her the prize, a goldfish. I attempt to convince her to give it to someone else, since it would be another mouth to feed. But Twilight insists on keeping it, as she really wants a live specimen to observe at home. So I decide to let her keep it, as long as she can take care of it.
I think I'll name him Spike. I don't know why, but the name appeals to me.
She says. The next stop is dart throwing. This time it's my turn to play, as this was a personal favorite game from my youth. I actually have a mini target and darts hanging on my closet door, and have had years of practice. Twilight stands out of the way, holding Spike, while I get into position. I get 3 darts for $1, and I manage to land all 3 in the center with perfect accuracy. Twilight cheers for me as I win. The man running the booth then gives me a star-shaped locket as a prize. Give this to your gal, laddie. She's quite a beaut, he says with a wink. Well, she's not exactly my gal, but thank you, I say, playing along with him. I then take the locket over to Twilight and ask if I can put it around her neck. Twilight puts the fish down and parts her hair in the back, giving space to put it on. She looks down at it as she turns towards me.
It's beautiful, Tai. Thank you.
She says, giving me another gorgeous smile. I can't help but smile back. It looks great on you, I say to her.
Well, thank you. You know, Tai, have I ever mentioned how much of a cool guy you are?
She asks. Oh, come on, Twilight. I'm just like everyone else. Nothing really special, I say, slightly embarrassed.
No, really. You're pretty awesome. Like how you...
Step right up and see the amazing Larry work his hypnotic magic.
Twilight turns away from me and looks at the tent.
Oh my god! There's a hypnotist here! Tai, we gotta go now!
She grabs me by the shirt and pulls me into the tent before shoving me into a front row seat. She then sits down herself, shaking her fists in anticipation. She loves hypnotism and has actually been practicing at home. She hasn't quite mastered it, but is determined to get it to work. I sit in my seat, trying to cool down from the feeling of being dragged against my will. I look back at Twilight, who's anxiously stomping her feet on the ground. I keep thinking about what she said back there. Like I said, I don't socialize very much, so I've never had anyone call me a cool guy before. I simply smile as I absorb the compliment. Then the show starts. The amazing Larry comes on stage and starts boasting about whom he is. He then asks for a volunteer, to which Twilight instantly jumps up and starts flapping her arms. Much to her delight, she gets picked. It's not even like Larry has to tell her anything. She just runs up and sits in the chair ready to be hypnotized. So Larry starts waving the pendant in front of her face, and she's instantly phased. He then gives her some commands, and she starts following them. She jumps up and down, makes rooster sounds, all while the audience is laughing away. Then Larry says it.
For your final command, I command you to... kiss your best friend!
Now really, I gotta ask. What kind of a hypnotist orders his victim to kiss her best friend? I mean, really, who does that? But before I can continue my thought, Twilight runs over to my seat, picks me up, and presses her lips onto mine. My whole body feels like it's on fire. Dabbles of sweat pour down my back, and my heart starts pounding at maximum velocity. Aside from the fact that this is my first kiss. She's really pressing hard. She's so locked in that she starts cutting off my air supply. I attempt to break away, but she's got a strong grip. I don't know what exactly that guy did to her, but I pray he undoes it. Soon! Finally, Larry tells her she is awake, and Twilight pulls back her head as everyone starts laughing and clapping. She looks at me awkwardly as I gasp for the air around me.
Tai, what's going on here? And why are you so red?
She asks. I start to say. Twilight releases her hands as I tumble back into my seat. She stands there with a dumbfound look on her face.
Why do my lips feel this way?
She asks, licking her lips. Maybe I'll tell you over some ice cream. We're gonna need a lot, I say, just as dumbstruck as she is. We then leave the show, both of us with our heads spinning. Twilight's still attempting to piece together what just happened, and I'm still in shock over the whole thing. I never thought my first kiss would be like that. It was definitely not what I expected it to feel like. But one other thing is on my mind. Larry ordered her to kiss her best friend, and she picked me. Does she really consider me her best friend? I suppose it makes sense, considering we're always together, but I personally thought it was my sister who had the closer connection. Then again, I was within the closest proximity, so maybe that was it. Really, it's not like I don't want to be her best friend. I mean, I remember when I first laid eyes on her, I found her to be kinda cute. She still is, actually. I always love seeing that smile of hers. But really, I just like spending time with her. That's it. I mean, we're roommates, and why... Why am I thinking about this right now?
So, Tai, where to next?
Twilight asks, interrupting my train of thought. I don't know, Twilight. I think we're both a little shaken up by that show. Maybe we should head home.
Fine, but can we swing by the pet store so I can get some food for Spike?
Alright. Might want to get a bowl, too. So we leave the carnival and head into town. That's when Twilight catches a glimpse of the sun. She then pulls me over to the railing and takes a good look at it.
Beautiful, isn't it?
She asks. It's just a sunset, I say.
Yeah, but usually I don't get to see one like this. All those buildings and trees in the city block the view.
And with that, I take my stand beside her and enjoy the view. I then turn my head back towards Twilight just as the wind starts to blow. Her hair gently blows in the wind, and the sun's rays reflect off her smooth skin, almost giving somewhat of an aura. I haven't seen Twilight look this majestic since the day I first laid eyes upon her. Then the sun reflects off her new brass locket, which zaps my eyes like a laser, causing me to flinch. Twilight takes notice and asks what's wrong. I simply tell her it was just the sun reflecting off her locket. She then looks down and starts twisting it.
You know, Tai, I really love this locket. I still can't believe you'd give me such a lovely gift.
I simply smile and go back to enjoying the sun, trying to play it cool. Don't think anything of it, Twilight. I didn't have much use for it, so I thought you'd like it.
Oh, but I do.
She says, playing with it a bit more. She then looks at me as I look back at her. She looks deep into my eyes, flashing me back to when I first looked into hers.
I really mean it, Tai. You're a real awesome guy.
Twilight, really? I say, still a bit embarrassed by the comment.
I mean, you've always stuck by me in the worst of times. I remember how when we first met, I was a little bit of a klutz. I couldn't hold a job, had to learn even the most basic necessities, and I still think back on what happened to the oven. But you stuck by me, and look where I've gotten now. Plus, you're also really supportive. Going with me on my trips, helping me pay for train tickets even when you don't have to. And now this.
She then starts showing me the locket again. I then decide it'd be best to return the compliment, as I'm not one who loves too much attention. Well, you know, Twilight, I start to say, struggling with the right words. I could say the same about you.
Yes?
Twilight asks, drifting closer to my body. Well, I've never met anyone like you. The way you love learning, taking all these trips to museums. Plus, you've really been a big help with my classes. Without you, I don't think my grades would look nearly as good as they do now. Plus, you're always open to new things, like trying different foods and watching movies. I've never known anyone in life like that. I then start to second guess my choice of words. I gotta admit, as a movie buff, this really did sound cheesy. So I turned my body towards her, attempting to come up with something new. What I'm trying to say is, but before I can continue, Twilight pushes her lips onto mine. She then closes her eyes as she wraps her arms around me. At this point, my heart is beating faster than ever. The first thing that goes through my mind is a simple "what's going on?" That and the memory of the last kiss I got from her. But this one feels different. It comes with a warm feeling that completely overpowers me. It feels good, as though I've wanted this a long, long time. That's when it hits me. All those thoughts I've been having about her. I can't really explain it. And maybe there's nothing to explain. I never thought I'd say this about anyone, but I love her. There. I finally said it. I truly love her. And from what I can tell, she loves me as well. So, I wrap my arms around her and embrace her. It felt like we were standing there for hours, just the two of us, lost in the moment. I've never felt anything like this before. It's perhaps the most wonderful sensation I've ever felt. Finally, we separate, and Twilight looks at me with a grin. I return her look with a smile. She then turns to take another look at the sun, and takes notice of how low it is.
Oh, we best get to the pet store before it closes.
She says, "Here, I know a shortcut," I say to her. "And when we get there, I'll help you pay for everything." She then grabs my arm.
Like I said, you're a real awesome guy.
She says, as she leans her head against my shoulder with a smile. I return the smile as the two of us head down the street together. Twilight holds onto my arm the whole time, and I enjoy it. I have a feeling we're going to have more nights like this one, and that my life has just taken a turn for the better.